And if it's not obvious, the center, we want the center of that fascial web to be here. It's where it starts, our embryological development. So that's why we keep bringing our awareness back there. Part of why. So, a few reminders about standing. Feet are small, shoulder width apart. Knees not locked. Gently bringing attention to the neck and emptying the neck. It's as if we're being picked up by the tips of the ears. So the back of the neck softens long, chin tucks slightly. Since there's just 4 of us tonight, I'm going to come by and give some specific pointers. If that sounds good to everybody? Okay. So everybody else continuing to go through the normal standing process. So we'll start here. So the emptying the neck and then softening the shoulders. Softening the shoulders, elbows become heavy. Scapula hanging down the back. So the neck is the most important one here. Is it okay if I touch you? Yeah. So crown of the head is right here. So this is the place that we want floating up. So back here, right now you're lifting from here. So yeah. And feet maybe a little bit further apart. A little bit wider, just a teeny bit. Yeah, perfect. Good. And do you have any neck issues, injuries in the neck?
Not injuries, but it's difficult for me to relax the neck.
Okay, so let me know if this is uncomfortable at all. I'm gonna lift your head. So this is the direction. It's okay?
Yes.
Okay. We keep going and letting everything hang down from here. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna let go, but continue to let that lengthening, that idea. Yeah, that's good. That's much better. And then, yeah. This looks really good. Is it okay if I touch your head? So, good. And melting away from the middle now. So with the scapula, the first part of the shoulders, the first part of the shoulder thing here is that we let the scapula, if we're coming from how most people kind of are, first thing is we let the scapula melt down the back of the rib cage. And then as we continue that softening eventually, and this probably won't happen today, or maybe in the first 5 years, then they start to melt away from one another and fall out to the sides. Yeah, is it okay if I touch your head? Do that same sort of thing. I'm gonna move the chair here. Any neck injuries?
No, just a
Okay. This should feel good. Do you have earrings on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Might be a little tricky. Let me know if I'm squishing the earrings too much. So, I'm gonna squish the earrings into too much. So, letting the back of the neck soften, long chin tuck slightly. So, even more. So, letting the head kind of tip, and then this space opens up. Back of the neck long, occiput exposed. Yeah. That's the idea. This is a really tricky one. The neck piece is really tricky for most everybody for a few different reasons, but we're kind of taught that to lead with our face. I talked about this already. So we're really like taught to lead with our face, and that standing up straight is lifting the front, and actually pulling ourselves down in the back is what we're taught standing up is. And then on top of that, we've got cars that we drive in and computers that we're on. So this back of the neck is what it's really about, actually, is this front muscle right here, the sternocleidomastoid, that starts on the mastoid process of the temporal bone, which is this bony protrusion right here under the ears. And it runs across the front, connecting to the sternum and the clavicle. So when this muscle is tight, it does this, closes the back of the neck. And so in order to actually empty the neck and get this all to open up so that we're not taking the curve out of the spine, it's actually this position here is actually what takes the curve out of the spine and straightens people's necks. When we let this lengthen, sternocleidomastoid here lengthening and softening, then the neck can actually start to get its proper cervical curve, so that the shoulders are under the ears, not behind the ears, right? Yeah, good. And then we'll go over this one again, because these next couple was something that we all need to work on more. So after we empty the neck and soften the shoulders, then filling the abdomen by emptying the chest. So letting the abdomen fill and the chest empties. It's like you have a quarter sitting on your chest, and you want to just let that quarter slide down to the belly. Chest empties, it's going down. Belly gets bigger, belly fills, not holding the belly in. If we're holding the belly in, we can't empty the chest because there's no space. Yeah. And then the last two that have to happen at the same time, hip joints fall back, low back falls back. So it's as if we're sitting on a high stool. So the quad is the hip joint area, basically like the bikini line. It's the quad. Everybody here, take your hands and put them in that hip crease there, that bikini line, and go forward from that bikini line. Actually, not forward. So standing up, finding that line, that crease, let that crease fall back so that you're leaning forward. Yeah, from that point. Again, so finding that point, and then from here, sinking the tailbone, letting the low back hang, and coming up slightly tall through the crown of the head. So again, let that fall back. And then without losing this, sinking a little through the tailbone, crown of the head floats up. So avoiding sticking the hips forward, they're actually back. So the center line of gravity to create this shape, this structure that will hold itself up, the center line of gravity is actually in front of the hip joint slightly. In front of the center of the hip joint slightly. Yes. Yes. Much better. Yeah. Yeah. Good. Okay. Awareness behind the navel and washing. Softening through the body. So here that hip joint area creases again, falls back. Intent into the earth, coming up from the crown of the head. Awareness returns to behind the navel. Beginning again, softening down, then out to the sides. Continuing to soften out to the sides. Palms turn towards the body. Melting down through. Hip joints fall back. Back of the neck stays long. Intent into the earth. Emptying the neck, crown of the head floats up, leading the movement. Return to behind the navel. And again. Give a side view. Emptying the neck, crown of the head floating up leads the movement. Return to Dantian. Everything extra softens to the earth and begins again. Shoulders soft, arms soft, hands softer. Only going as low as is comfortable. Only going as low as we can while staying relaxed and through. So if it's just this far, that's great. The purpose here is softening and washing through the inside of the body, down the legs, out the feet, into the earth. It's not about squatting. close. Sinking the chi back to the dantian. Neck empty, shoulders soft, elbows hanging. Awareness nestled in the dantian. Starting with the wrists. Pendulum. Wrist falls out, falls in. So crown of the head remains floating up, but we let everything else soften down. It swings out, gets to the end, soften down, it swings back again. Good. That's the idea. And small circle leading with the pinky edge. Elbow stays hanging, shoulder stays soft. Gradually getting bigger. Sinking all the way into the earth. Letting it go completely. Softening long, length opens up from the fingertips to the crown of the head. And it's okay if going at a slightly different pace feels easier to you. And smaller circle and longer. So length from the low back to the fingertips. Crown of the head to the fingertips. Soles of the feet, the crown of the head, softening space. Yeah. Start with the lengthening the fingertips. Eventually that lengthening gets back to the elbow and back to the glenohumeral joint and then back to the sternoclavicular joint and then down to the dantian. And smaller, longer. And letting it go. Like a pendulum. Softening down, opens out, softening down, it returns. And small circles, starting with the pinky, elbow hanging, shoulder soft. Letting it go all the way into the earth at the bottom. Yeah. And reverse. Letting it go all the way at the bottom. Continuing that letting go, that lengthening, allowing it to go all the way around the circle. Yeah. Movement coming from under the feet. Back of the hands. Back of the hands, fingertips sinking. A little longer. It's not about height. It's not about lifting the hands. It's more about letting them fall away from the body. It's letting the hands fall away from the body. So thinking softening down and long, and they'll naturally come up high enough. So I'll show you a little. So difference if I'm lifting the hands versus if I'm letting the arms lengthen, letting the tissue line lengthen down and away from me, it opens up the space. Yeah. And smaller, longer. Let's change directions. Really letting it go. And not lifting the arms. If they don't come up super high, that's fine. They don't need to come any higher than basically just above the shoulder, just above that glenohumeral joint. It's plenty high. And smaller. Tiger's mouth resting on the thighs or just hanging. And behind and down, behind and down. So softening the left to look to the right, softening the right in order to look to the left. Gaze comes up slightly in the middle. So it begins by thinking about softening the opposite side of the neck to create that length. Eventually, it becomes softening the neck and the shoulder, and then the neck and the shoulder, and the torso, and then the neck and the shoulder, and the torso, and the hip, and then the neck, the shoulder, the torso, the hip, the leg, all the way down to the foot. And behind and up slightly. Gaze comes down slightly in the middle. And coming back to middle, tall through the crown of the head. We're drawing spiral on the ceiling, gradually getting bigger, only as big as we can do comfortably with a nice even circle. Getting to all four corners. And reverse, starting small. So all four corners. So there's the front right, the front left, the back right. You might be like me and you can go one direction in a bigger circle than the other side. That's fine. Don't push to try and make the other circle the same. Just work within the space of ease. And chin to chest and then coming up. And hip joints fall back like your bird picking something up with its beak. Coming up, turn to standing. Beginning. So it's a circle along the sagittal plane. Reverse. So chin to chest, chest empties, hip joints fall back. Long through the crown of the head, return. So long through the crown of the head. So the back of the neck is not shortening. Yeah. Shaking through the spine, then like you're being picked up. Yeah. Close the window now. Okay, and shoulders. So stepping back with one foot, or you can keep both feet in the same plane, but you get it to practice your transfer from left to right if the feet are staggered. Sinking down the back into the earth, and then it swings forward. So there's 4 corners to this circle too. The back bottom corner, the front bottom corner, the front top corner, the back top corner. The ones that tend to get skipped are the bottom corners. Changing directions. So the shoulders sink, crown of the head stays floating up. So lengthening between the crown of the head and the shoulders. Changing. So opening in front, closing in front. reverse. Sinks all the way into the earth, swings underneath, naturally floats up. Alternating. Sink down the back, swings underneath. Crown of the head floating up. Reverse. Sinks in front, swings behind. And the crown of the head stays floating. So there's still a channel between heaven and earth. The Zhongding central upright equilibrium is primary to everything. So, like, there's a tube from the crown of your head down to under your foot. Elbows. Sorry, let's go back to, let's do that very beginning thing just as a reminder here. So fist is closed but not clenched, and the hand is going to come up to the sternum and it's going to sink down to the diaphragm. Up to the sternum, down to the diaphragm. Shoulder is soft. One more time. Up to the sternum, down to the diaphragm. Okay. Now we're going to do that, adding the waist turn. So if you're okay, so if you're starting with the right hip softens so that the waist can turn. Elbow comes up and sinks down. So here we soften to the bottom inside corner, the top inside corner, top outside corner, bottom outside corner. In this middle corner, inside corner, the bottom inside corner is generally the trickiest. Again, it's the bottom corners in general that are trickiest. So here we soften, 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 and it gets around. Soften, 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 and it gets around. Good. Changing directions. Remember, hand stays in front of the sternum. So my chest, right? Yeah. Real quick here. So it's not here. This joint isn't really opening. Hand stays in front of the sternum. So if the waist only turns to here, that's okay. That's as far as it turns. It just turns to here. That's okay. Want to keep that hand in basically just right in front of the chest. Otherwise, gonna hurt that glenohumeral joint. And changing sides. So the circle is created. So here, softening this hip joint, the elbow comes through. I can try. So here, softening the left hip joint, elbow sinks in, comes through. Softening the right side. Softening that left hip joint. Changing directions. So the pelvis basically stays forward. Right, the first time we did this one, I had everybody sit down in a chair. So if you were standing on a high stool, so the knees are staying in the same direction as the toes, not twisting the pelvis. In order for that to happen, here we have to let go of the right side. Here we have to let go of the left side. Letting go of the right, letting go of the left. Unless you're using your right arm, I guess I could say letting go of the opposite side as the elbow, letting go as the same side. So here, not behind, it's just out to the sides. Just letting it fall out to the sides. Change directions. Elbows falling out to the sides, or even a little bit in front. To the sides and a little bit in front. Good. The arms just hanging. Releasing the opposite side. Turns the waist. So the thing that opens up the waist, the ability for the waist to turn, is it falling back. So the abdomen soft, low back falling back, then it can actually turn. If we're holding, can't really get the range of motion in the low back. If we're engaging the core and we're tightening, then the turning ends up happening in the thoracic spine, which is problematic because that's where your ribs connect to. And just don't want that to be the primary place of rotation. And so same side. So weights under the left foot, turning to the left. So now I'm more under the left, more under the right, under the left, under the right. I'm just doing that to emphasize. So let go of the right, let go of the left. Let go of the right, let go of the left. And if you want to take a wall for the hips, you can take a wall. So we'll start with the right leg. So letting the heel fall in and heel fall into the body. So heels in, toes out, and releasing up the outside, down the inside, touches, steps out. Other side, so letting go of the left leg, the left heel is going to fall in, and then releasing the knee to the outside, comes across to the inside, down, foot touches, steps out. Yeah. Okay. We're going to continue here. One of the important factors here is, so this foot, it falls in, right, opening the hips. So they're essentially moving in the opposite direction. They're moving. And then we release this hip out to the side and it comes across, and then the hips are closing. So the really important piece here that's easy to miss is what the standing leg is doing. So this goes out this direction. The standing leg, it's as if it's closing back the opposite direction. What we want to really be careful of is that we don't let this knee twist and twist. We don't want to let the knee twist at all. It can really, really hurt it. So here the hips open out in front and then they come together and then it comes down. Steps, opens out in front and like a book closing. Yeah, it's like a book closing or closing the laptop. Even though you close one side of it, right, that other side has to stay present. And I found it easiest to think about it, the standing side doing the opposite direction. Good. Okay, now we're going to change directions. Remember, so now the heel falls out, toe falls in, and releasing. Now they're still doing the opposite. So here, the front of the hips close together, and then they open away from one another. So the standing leg moves in the opposite direction in order to stay where it's at. Closing, opening. Good. Yeah. Good. Just one more on each side. Good. And that heel movement and spiraling through the ankle. Yeah, that's right. So this is coming from way back here. At least rest of the leg is soft. Presence through the leg, it's not totally limp. Reverse. Other side. And spiraling. Spiraling down and out. Reverse. Good. Just shaking through. Shake out a little, lifting up the heels, gradually faster and faster. Waist. Yeah, if you're sitting, that one's a little more just like inhaling up, letting it go. I don't know which way is easiest for understanding what's happening. Is this easier for people to see if I go the same direction? Yeah. Okay. So here, right leg is empty. Fingertips get to the end, space from the crown to the fingertips. And then it's as if somebody pulls the fingertips, the waist turns to the right, the left leg empties. Fingertips come close, The right leg empties, continues to empty, gets to the end, pulls, the left leg empties, waist turns to the right. So here, the back of the hand runs along the leg, basically, spirals, palm is up, and then it's like you're gonna throw a piece of chocolate in your mouth, but then you turn your head at the last moment, palm is up, spirals, palm turns up again. You're gonna put something in your mouth, back of the hand towards the body, palm up, spiraling out, palm up. And changing sides. So softening, lengthening, opening up that space. That spiral line. So here the right hip softens to stay back. Here the left hip softens. And alternating. Yeah, little brain teaser. It's like crossword puzzle for your body. So go slow here. So the right hand gets to its end point as the left hand is at the top and starts coming in. So here, the waist turning, the whole body moves as one piece. It's complicated initially, but once the body unifies, then it becomes really simple. It's like just turning to the left and right. So, gets to the top, gets to the bottom, moves as one. This hand, the right hand, dipping down the outside, gets to the end. Change. And 18 times. Other direction, Monica. Other direction. Yeah. After 18, then 12, spiraling back in. And we're just going to do that one once today and go into circling the eyes. Reverse. In between the eyebrows. Temples. Reverse direction. Eyebrows. Through the scalp. In front of the ear. Over the ear. So we're in winter time. Winter time is water, kidneys. The ears are the external opening of the kidneys. The feet are another direct connection to the kidneys. So really important to keep the ears warm, the waist warm, the feet warm this time of year. Hats, scarves, back of the neck is important to keep covered too. Gently tapping. Yeah. Yeah, down the inside, up the outside, like you're sweeping water off a table. So this is the last class for this November series. Next month, December, we're going to start doing working on Dao Yin, Rongqi Tengmo Dao Yin Anmofa, which means clearing balancing the energy, clearing the fascial meridians, Dao Yin, self-massage. So it's a seated practice, mostly seated. We'll like be sitting on the floor for some of the leg massage parts of it. Can be seated on a meditation cushion or in a chair. And yeah, really nice, soft, gentle practice that's really good this time of the year. It's a really awesome practice to have in your toolkit any time of the year too, in case something happens, like you get injured, you break your foot and you can't stand, you can't really do these other practices. You can do them seated, but also having this self-massage set is really helpful for when other things aren't appropriate to practice. It's much more appropriate to practice aspects of it, at least, when you're sick, to help clear things and balance things than some of these other qigong methods, like I talked about with the Hunyuan Gong. You don't want to practice that one while you're sick because it can drive the sickness deeper. And when you're sick, you might not have enough energy to be able to stand and do these Chansi Gong exercises properly without it depleting more. So really wonderful stuff. We'll go a little bit more into show some pictures of connective tissue and stuff. And then January, we're going to start doing some Tai Chi. Yeah, I have lots of things planned. I just wanted to kind of let you guys know a little bit about what we're looking at in the future. And I'm going to record one more practice session doing Chansi Gong myself, putting it on YouTube. Did everybody access that link? Or do you? Okay. Great. Yeah, I'll change that one out. I'm not going to leave that one up. So something about like recorded videos that I wanted to state is I'm not going to leave old videos up. I'm going to like cycle through with what we're practicing, and I'll only leave it up for 1 or 2 weeks because as soon this is a living practice. The emphasis is on these proper principles, and we just use the outer method to help us kind of get in tune with those principles so that we learn how to listen to the body and listen to the chi around us so that we can follow what's nourishing, and that has this ebb and flow of it, just like life, just like the cycles of the seasons. In order for it to be nourishing, a tree can't be doing the same thing all year round, or it's going to dry out and break, So the way, the size of the movements, the speed at which we're moving, the depth of the stances and things that we do, it changes based on the season, based on how yin and yang are interacting in that particular day, the I Ching, it's one of the things that helps us inform the practice. So yeah, that's why I probably won't be leaving things up for very long, and we'll be cycling through. Because essentially, like once the practice is done, to be watching that, then in one sense it's dead. It's not really connected back to the present moment anymore. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Ah, yes. Yeah, yeah. 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 And I brought this one too. This is a bit more of like an advanced concept within the Chansi Gong, but as I mentioned, you know, the primary movement of the universe is this expansion and return. And there's a lot of people out there that know about connective tissue and fascia, and they talk about the different planes of movement that it can move in. But nobody's, I mean, hopefully there's some bigger name people out there that start talking about this. The fact that the whole fascial system can actually expand in all directions and return. And that's really, that's the primary. Does anybody want to play with this? That's what we want to cultivate as the primary mechanism for generating movement, and that's even true within, you know, the Chansi Gong, the spirals. So here, everything's returning back to the Dantian, and then here, everything's expanding, and here it's returning and expanding. So it's not just like, it's not two-dimensional. It's this whole three-dimensional spiral expansion. Yeah.
Is matrix is around the organs?
Yeah, surrounds the organs. So there's different layers here. But we have like the heart has the pericardium, which is essentially like a fascial sac that surrounds it. And then the lungs have the pleura, it's called. It's more fascial sacs. And then the diaphragm itself is essentially, it's muscle, big fascial sheets. And then the peritoneum, parietal peritoneum is this big sac that basically surrounds the lower organs. And then that kind of folds in on itself and wraps around each organ in different ways here. And so, yeah, we have, it's everywhere. And then also the brain and the spinal cord have fascial wrappings around them as well. And it all stems out from that brain and spinal cord, the wrappings, the dura mater around that. The nerves branch out from the spine, come out from the spine wrapped in that, and then that is continuous with the rest of the fascial network in the body. Yeah. It's all connected.
Have you ever seen the energy inside us?
Seen the energy?
Yeah, how do you know?
Yeah, so there's okay, yeah. Good. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Totally. Yeah. Have a good night. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No. I love it. That's yeah.
Do you see the currents of energy inside
So oh yeah, they've measured, you can measure electrical
Yes.
output, and so there's I'm going to talk more on this, but there's scientific tests that have been done on connective tissue and the areas of adhesion and what happens when you apply pressure to those areas and it finally melts. There's this like release of ATP, this release of energy, and then it melts and reintegrates with the rest of the fascial web. So yeah, you know, people doing autopsies, cutting bodies, finding, oh, what is this stuff? And then starting to to test it more and more, and so you can see the fascia, you can see connective tissue, and I want to show you guys pictures of that at some point next month. Hopefully, I can figure that out. And yeah, yeah, my pleasure. Great questions. Thanks for coming. All right.